पंचभाई सरांनी जॉईन केलंय का?
केलं होतं ते परत जॉईन होतं.
ओके. I think we should start. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Ketan.
Ma'am, may I begin?
Yes.
All right. A very good morning, everyone. I am Kitayon Mistry, the General Secretary of the Student Council at Government Law College, Mumbai, and I shall be your host for today. I would like to welcome you all to the 15th National Webinar on the topic, Exploring the Interface Between Spiritual Values and Indian Constitutional Values. I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. K. Permesviral, who is an Associate Professor of Law and the former Dean of Academics at GNLU. We're honored by your presence, sir. Our principal, Dr. Asmeta Vaidyaman, has also graced today's occasion. We are very grateful to have you here with us. We also have with us our senior professors, other faculty members, and other senior members of the legal profession, along with students from all over India. We would like to welcome you all. The National Webinar Series have been organized by Government Law College, Mumbai, under the leitmotif of Azadi 75. Azadi 75 is the celebration of 75 years of the Constituent Assembly. And we here at GLC Mumbai aim to have 75 such events before 26 January to commemorate this special occasion. Today, before we proceed, I would now like to play the Saraswati Vandana to request Saraswati Ma to shower us with her blessings.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणा
I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our Honorable Principal, Dr. Asmeta Vaidyaman, an education and academician, a social activist, and an able administrator, whose vast experience in the field of academia and social service has placed her at the front lines of various social issues, effecting reforms and empowering people. Dr. Vaidya is the recipient of several awards, such as the Tejaswini Award, the Nation Builder Award, and the Superwoman 2020 Award. She has previously served as the head of Department of Law at the NMT College of Arts, Commerce, Law, and Management at Gondia, and also acted as the principal of Gokhale Education Society's N. Thakur Law College at Nashik, before finally taking up responsibility as the principal of Government Law College, Mumbai. An accomplished leader, ma'am has won over the hearts of all students at GLC with her enthusiasm and her efforts to introduce a variety of new programs and courses for us all. Today, ma'am, I would now invite you to speak a few words on this occasion.
Thank you, Ketayun. Ma Saraswati Vandana. As we all know, Government Law College, Mumbai is one of the oldest law college established in the year 1855. This college is made known because of its alumni. This college has given many freedom fighters, social activists, social reformers, eminent advocates, social law teachers, and many more social persons to the society. This college has actually witnessed the making of Constitution. With a view to celebrate completion of 75 years to the establishment of Constituent Assembly, our college has decided to conduct 75 different academic activities in the span of 15th August 2021 to 26th January 2022. The academic activities comprises of the national webinars, national quiz competition, national level guest lecture series, street plays, awareness programs based on Indian Constitution. Sir, I'm very happy at this point that throughout the state of Maharashtra, we could reach and make the constitutional awareness among the law students, other than law students and other students, and we have actually educated the students from different parts, different districts of Maharashtra, including Nagpur, Amravati, Nashik, Jalgaon, and many more. Today, friends, today we are happy to have Dr. K. Permesviral from Gujarat National Law University with us. And in spite of his ill health issue and health issue as such, he is going to discuss on exploring the interface between spiritual values and Indian constitutional values. The principles which are embedded in our constitution speaks about equality, liberty, justice, fraternity, dignity of individuals. Every word, I think, is a principle in itself, and you have divine origin. And most importantly, it assures your existence on humanitarian ground. It will be very interesting to know more about this by digging out the spiritual values in the Constitution of India. Dr. Permesviral is going to focus more on that. Sir, on behalf of Government Law College, Mumbai, we welcome you. At this point of series of academic activities, I really appreciate the efforts taken by the coordinator, Dr. Panchabhai sir, all teaching and non-teaching staff, the technical team, the team which is all the 24 hours working behind all these activities, students team and student council, I must say, and the GS, and most importantly, the response given by my all other students and also from academicians from different colleges and different parts of Bharat. I welcome all those who are present here. I welcome you all again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Today, I will now introduce our keynote speaker and chief guest, Dr. K. Permesviral. Sir is an associate professor of law and former dean of academics at Gujarat National Law University in India. He has taught at NLSIU in Bangalore, NLU Jodhpur, the Madras University, SLS Pune, among multiple other institutions. Sir has pioneered a law subject entitled Law, Religion, Spirituality and Justice, and also a method of ethics skills development. He is proficient in cognitive behavioral psychotherapy, clinical hypnotherapy, and also a master trainer of neuro-linguistic programming. He was formerly a governing member at the Auroville Foundation by Government of India and UNESCO, which is also associated with the World Commission on Environmental Law, International Consortium for Law and Religion, Project for Integrating Spirituality, Law, and Politics, Interfaith Dialogue and Conflict Migration, Vedic Studies, and Indian Heritage, among other things. He works to bring spiritual awareness and peace values in legal research. He also writes on contemporary issues, keeping Sri Aurobindo's integral knowledge for individual and collective development, social harmony, and holistic well-being. Sir has extensively lectured in India and abroad while training students, advocates, judicial officers, PhD scholars through other immersive workshops and FDPs. Sir, we're delighted and extremely honored to have you with us for our final lecture in the National Webinar Series, and are extremely excited to hear your thoughts on an intriguing topic, something that is of the necessity to integrate our culture and understand spirituality and understand the difference between these values as well, keeping our constitution in mind. Without further ado, I would like to invite you, sir, to kindly begin the lecture.
Thank you so much. Am I audible? Clear? Okay. At the outset, I thank all of you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. The Government Law College in Mumbai is one of the most prestigious institutions imparting legal education in the country, with a leader, an educationist and academician, Professor Dr. Asmeta Vaidyaman, all other coordinators of this most important program, Asadi 75, participants, students, and many others who are watching this program online. Before I begin, I sincerely apologize for the last week's webinar, which was about to take place but could not take place owing to my ill health. Hence, I request you all to excuse me for that small glitch from my side. Today's topic, what we are going to discuss, is so appropriate to celebrate Azadi 75. The theme we have for today is exploring the constitutional values and spiritual values. One might wonder, what is the connection between these two? But before I begin to explain fully the relationship between spiritual values and constitutional values, we must understand the context in which we are in. The context is, we are going through a kind of a trouble and a troubling situation. And we are going to move towards the new normal. And we also have artificial intelligence coming up in a very big way. And we also have information communication technology entering into all domains of our daily existence. We are also seeing at the same time the international community, all the countries under the umbrella of the United Nations organization, they are busy understanding how do we cooperate with each other and make the best out of things. It seems we have all kinds of things in our hand. Technology is there. Science to understand is there. We know when to do what, where, and so on. Still, we have not yet got what we needed to get. We have not yet accomplished what the Indian Constitution had promised all of us to achieve for us. It is here that we must understand the constitutional values that we have, and especially in a youngster like Azadi 75, we must rethink how are we going to ensure the constitutional values, the accomplishment of it, guaranteeing of them, and finally utilization and accomplishment for each and every one. Before I begin to show the interrelationship between these two, legal values, the constitutional values on one side, and spiritual values on the other side, we will go step by step. What is a constitutional value and what is a spiritual value? The moment we understand the two value systems that exist apparently at two different sides, which is exactly not the case, the more we go deeper into it, the more we go deeper into the constitutional law, the more we go deeper into the spiritual law, we find there is some kind of a convergence, some kind of a harmony taking place. It is there at the invisible level. Our current modern rational mind is not willing to see this, but we have no other way. We cannot avoid seeing this. Take the case of constitutional value. What is a constitutional value, or what are constitutional values? For constitutional value or values, the first thing that we have in our Indian Constitution is the Preamble, which says, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to assure its citizens justice, which is social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, freedom of speech, faith, expression, belief, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, fraternity assuring the dignity of the individual, unity and integrity of the whole country, and so on." This is the constitutional value that we have. What we need to understand here is that these values are very clearly set. These values are very clearly put to give us the direction of how do we want our life to be, how do we want our nation to be, how do we want our society to be, how do we want our family and friends to be. And what is that we want? We, the people of India, we all, you and me. What did we do at that time? What are we doing it right now? What are we going to do it later? All the three tenses are there. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute, that we have consciously resolved to constitute India into a particular state, a nature of state, which is sovereign, social, secular, democratic republic. That is the nature of state. But from the nature of the state, what is that is going to come for all of us? It is this nature of state is created by us. We, the people of India, it is we who created it. And we created a state with all these essential features: sovereign, secular, democratic republic, social, so on. And the things that are going to come out of this is justice, which is social, economic, and political, equality, liberty, fraternity, dignity, unity, and integrity. This is the roadmap given. These are the values which are clearly guiding us. How do we go about? This is how we have to live. Everything that we make out of this, everything that we constitute of in this life, in our country, in our social existence, be it in our university, our college, friends, family, whatever that we have. We are supposed to follow only this, because these are core values. These are essential values. These are fundamental values. These are foundational values. If you achieve this, everything else is achieved. That's why these values, which are there in the preamble, is the most important starting point of the Constitution, starting point of the life itself. But now my question here is that when Constitution has given us the principles, when Constitution has given us the ideals, when Constitution has given us the direction of how do we go about, where is the process involved? How do we do that? We need to have justice, social, economic, and political. We need to have liberty, equality, fraternity, dignity, unity, integrity. Yes, it is very clear. And we have consciously wanted it. It is not imposed. It is we who have wanted it. And we have created it for ourselves. And we resolved it consciously. We accepted it with so much preparation in mind, so much preparation in our social thinking, political thinking, legal thinking, and so on. So the map which is given to us, the roadmap which is given to us, the ideas which are given to us need to be processed somewhere. How do we process that? Principles are very clear, but how do we process it? That process is currently operating on three major domains. They are the social domain, the economic domain, the political domain. That's why we say justice, which is social, economic, and political. And then out of this justice, which is social, economic, and political, we will get liberty, equality, fraternity, dignity, unity, and integrity. But how do we do that? That process, how do we do that? Currently, the process is only social, economic, and political. But if you see social, economic, and political, which is very clearly defined in the Constitution, and liberty, equality, fraternity is also very clearly defined in the Constitution. And the Constitution has given us the tripartite structure of the legislature, executive, and judiciary, the union list, concurrent list, and state list. Still, we are not able to achieve it. Still, we are not yet got what we wanted. That means there is something missing, or that means there is something that we need to do extra in order to achieve what we have ourselves promised to ourselves, what we have promised and guaranteed to ourselves, that this is what we want. So on one side, we are clear of what we want, but on the other side, we don't know how to go about. And currently, the method by which we are going about is largely social, economic, and political, which are external in nature, which are quantifiable in nature, which are tangible in nature. But human life is just not only social, economic, and political. Can we just conclude that the human nature, the human behavior, the social system is only economic and political and social? Which means, that means we are reducing the human life to something very external, which is something very outward, very tangible. Then how do we achieve peace? How do we achieve order? How do we achieve dignity? How do we achieve fraternity? How do we achieve liberty? How do we achieve equality? All these are not only tangible, but they are also intangible. They are also invisible. So, constitutional values, which are very clearly given to us in the preamble, is giving us a direction of what we should achieve. And it is we who have created it, and this is all that we want for all of us. And currently, the method, the approach which we are following in order to achieve the Constitution is largely social, economic, and political, which is external in nature, which is quantifiable in nature. But that hardly defines the human life, that hardly defines the human nature, that hardly defines the social existence. We are just not only social, economic, and political, we are much more. What about the psychological? What about the culture? What about the religion? What about the spirituality? These are not included in that. Should we include all of them in that or not? There are arguments which says that it is already included. It is we who have to take it out and then do it. Some say, no, we need to actively pursue it and include it. In fact, I am also one of the persons who feel that justice, which is social, economic, political, we should also add psychological and spiritual to that, the two more elements to it, and so on. So to come back, the values which we have got, the ideals which we have got, if we want to achieve, we need to think of a new methodology of how do we work it out, how do we process it out. And that process, for me, it is there in the spiritual foundation of life. Now a question comes, what do we mean by the spiritual foundation of life? What do we mean by spirituality, or what do we mean by spirit, self, soul, and so on? Spirituality is nothing but understanding who we are, who am I, understanding everything surrounding us, this vast reality, this time and space. What is this existence? What is this space about? What is this time? What is this awareness? Who is the one who is aware of everything? Who is the one who is conscious of everything? Is it just only the mind? Or is it just only the emotions? Or is it only the senses? Or is it only the body? Who am I? Am I only the social? Am I only the economic? Am I only the political? Nothing is able to exhaust what a human being is all about. There is something that is continuously evolving and developing. So if we mean to say that spirituality is nothing but realization of who we are and what we are in this life, the awareness of who we are and what we are in life, and what is that awareness that we are getting when we understand who we are and what we are in this life, we get to understand this human nature which is here. In addition to the flora and the fauna, the vegetal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and so on, behind all these things of the human kingdom, of the animal kingdom, of the vegetal kingdom and the mineral kingdom, all that is there in this whole beautiful earth, in this whole time and space, if you dive deep into that, you get an awareness of what is what. And what is that awareness? There is an underlying unity that is there behind all these things. Behind the human nature, behind the flora and the fauna, and behind the minerals and so on, behind this vast space and time and reality, behind this whole universe, cosmos, there is an underlying unity which is there. And what is that unity? What is the nature of that unity? It is something that which is mutual to each and everyone. It is not fighting. It is coexisting so beautifully. Not only the unity is there, but it's also mutual. But more than the mutuality, it is also multiple. There is a sense of multiplicity which is continuously going on. So to come back, of course, there are a lot of understandings that can be given as to what do we mean by spirituality in this life, but only 3 principles I have taken so that we can connect directly to the Indian Constitution. So when we understand spirituality, when we understand this time, when we understand this space, when we understand who we are and what we are, we get to an understanding there is something fundamental, there is something foundational in which everything is united, everything is one, everything is unified. When everything is unified, when there is an unity in everything, when there is oneness in everything, that presupposes there must be some kind of a harmony in everything. A mutuality exists. At the same time, this unity and mutuality is not static. It is also multiple. It has the multiplicity. Now, if you see quickly, the spiritual values which we are referring here, unity, mutuality, multiplicity. Here on the Constitution, you have liberty, equality, fraternity. If you see these 3 values on both the sides, On the constitutional side, equality, liberty, fraternity. And on the spiritual side, you have unity, multiplicity, and mutuality. They are actually one and the same. So what we call equality in the constitution is at a deep level, it is nothing but unity. It is nothing but our sense of oneness. So in order to achieve equality in the constitution, if we have the spirit of oneness, the awareness of oneness inside us, awareness of the unity of that thing experienced inside us, then automatically equality comes and discrimination stops. Similarly, what we call in constitution as liberty is nothing but multiplicity. Liberty means multiplicity, the freedom of things. It is just not one. It is just not dogmatic. It is just not only fixed or static. It is something that which is continuously moving, and there is this flexibility continuously that is there operating. So what you call constitutional liberty, at a spiritual level, it is nothing but multiplicity. Similarly, what you call in the constitution fraternity, dignity, at the spiritual level is nothing but mutuality and harmony. So if you want to achieve constitution, I would say we must explore who we are. If you want to understand constitution, we cannot avoid understanding what is this all about. So beautiful. So if I want unity, if I want equality, if I want sense of oneness, then I must understand who I am, what I am. What is this awareness all about? So to achieve the constitutional goal of equality, liberty, and fraternity, we cannot avoid being conscious of our own self. Because the constitutional equality, liberty, fraternity, if you see the preamble, at the end they have said very clearly, they have adopted these values. It is adopted, it is not created. If constitution can create equality, liberty, fraternity, then they can change it also. It is not changeable. You can't change the preamble. Why we can't change the preamble? Is it because it is there in the constitution? No. It is because it is fundamental, foundational, universal existence. We cannot change it. Not that we cannot change it. We cannot do anything except accepting it. Because that is the way of life. That is the order of life. So in order to achieve equality, liberty, fraternity, we have to understand ourselves in relation to everyone else. Currently, the constitution talks about equality, liberty, and fraternity only at the social level, only at the political level, only at the economic level, which is perfectly fine. We need to achieve it. At the economic level, at the political level, at the social level, we need to achieve equality, liberty, fraternity. But that alone is not enough. We need to move towards something else. That is why we cannot avoid the interface between spiritual values and the constitutional values, because the root of all constitutional values is there in the spiritual domain of life, or when we enter into the experiential zone of the spiritual life and spiritual values, we automatically accomplish what constitution wants for all of us. This is very simple. So a question comes, how do we operate this? As a theory, it looks very nice. How do we operate this? How do we process this? Because in the constitution, the legal system has a lawmaking, parliament is there, state legislature is there, union legislature is there on one side. Then you have government on the other side. Then you have judiciary on the other side. How do we bring this spiritual value into the constitutional system? How do we bring spiritual values into the legal system? Lawmaking, the judicial interpretation, and the governance. How do we do that? Here, in my research, I found already there were instances to show that it is happening. I'll give you interesting examples for that. As such, it is not something we cannot think of, or it is something very dreamy or anything like that. It is very clear. If you want unity, if you want equality, if you want liberty, if you want multiplicity, if you want mutuality, harmony, if you want fraternity and dignity, you cannot avoid looking into things, because we are in the center of things. We are in the origin of things. The human nature is in the origin of things, in the center of things, and its relation with the flora and the fauna, the mineral kingdom, the whole setup in which we live, the social, cultural, economic, political, religious customs, and so on. So it is we who have to start the process by becoming conscious of our own. So, if you want to achieve constitutional equality, liberty, fraternity, dignity, unity and integrity, I'm repeating it again and again for the sake of making it very clear, because it has to come into our grip. Currently, the Constitution is also more or less operating like that. It is not that we are not operating, we are operating. Take, for example, I will give you a simple example. Of course, it is not many in number, we are only very little in number, but we can increase it. We all have to do that if you are interested in Constitution, if you are interested in achieving what the Constitution wants for all of us. Take the case of the right to commit suicide. It is not a it is no longer punishable, because we found that this right, when it is exercised and if the right is failed, if the person who has attempted to commit suicide failed in his attempt, we cannot punish him. So what should we do? Under the Mental Health Care Act 2017, section 115, subsection 1 and subsection 2, state government has to give therapy. The government to the state, the Constitution fixes this kind of a situation that you have to give therapy to the person who is attempting to commit suicide but failed. Don't punish him. And they rely largely on psychological and psychotherapeutic understanding of human behavior and identity crisis that a person is going through, that he doesn't want to live and then he wants to end his life. The state has to become compassionate. Where does this compassion come from? State can very well punish the person. So, by understanding the nature of the human behavior, by studying the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, edition 5, in which they found that person who are interested, or person who is having the thoughts of committing suicide, they must be having some kind of a crisis in their identity. That crisis situation is a suffering. You cannot make the person suffer again. You have to provide some kind of a therapy for them. Is this not a spiritual role that the state is performing? It can. It is. We must increase it like this. This is first example. I'll give you little examples here and there. Second example. Take the case of the decriminalization of section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. Simply because a person is having a different sexual orientation, he or she cannot be discriminated in public space. Is it a rocket science that we found out this? It is there. Whether I like a particular orientation of that a person is having about his own body or her own body should not come in my way to understand who that person is or what that person is all about. So that discrimination was removed based on the principle of fraternity from the Preamble. Now, from the spiritual angle also, a spiritually conscious person means a spiritually conscious person having the sense of oneness, having the sense of unity, having the sense of mutuality and harmony, having the sense of multiplicity and freedom. He or she will not be distinguishing a person of this quality or that quality or this orientation or that orientation. The spiritual person will not even bring the binary of Jivan, the gender, male or female. For him, the soul exists. We are more or less, we have gone so close to that. So, Section 377, when it was decriminalized, though scientific understanding was brought into picture, again, diagnostic statistical manual came into picture, so many discussions happened. But the simple logic is that we cannot discriminate a person simply because he has a different thinking about his own body or her own body and his relationship with XYZ in a public space. Why we should discriminate that person? That sense of non-discrimination can come only when you have the sense of unity, sense of oneness. Only when you allow multiplicity to exist, coexist. Only when you allow a mutuality to be simultaneous. Second example. Third example, I will give you different types of example, is sustainable development. Very, very interesting topic. What is sustainable development? Sustainable development means you can make use of the resources only to your need. Why? Because the previous generation, they have made use of the resources only to their need, as a result of which their future generation, which is our generation, that is the current generation, we are able to use those resources. So we should also use the resources only to our needs so that our future generation will also make use of it. Now a question comes, where is the spiritual dimension in this? Very simple. The sustainable development talks about intergenerational equity, intragenerational equity. Tell me, the sense of time, the past generation, the previous generation of yours and mine, they left something for their future generation, which is what we are right now and enjoying these resources. If we enjoy these resources only to our need, we will be able to leave something of the current generation's resources to the future generation. They may be able to use it for their need. As a result of it, there is this perpetuation and continuity of the past, present, and the future, between the time frame of the past, present, and the future. So sustainable development is nothing but a timeless principle. Very interesting. In spirituality, we talk about timelessness. Intragenerational equity and intergenerational equity is nothing but timelessness. Very interesting. Take the case of animal rights, which are coming very close. I will give you one more method of looking at this whole issue. Take the case of Article 14 or Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, what it was in the year 1950 to what it is right now in 2022, January 24th. Article 14, Article 21 remains the same. Nothing has changed. But the interpretation of it is kept on changing. Why? If you study the role of Article 14 or a role of Article 22 once in 15 years, you can see the difference, huge difference. What grew? Constitution remains the same, article remains the same, but the interpretation of it, the human societies which are growing continuously in and around it, they are slowly able to see the bigger picture of their own life. So which means we are taking so much time to understand our own value of life, which we have fixed for ourselves. That's why I said we have fixed the great value for us. We have fixed a great ideal for us, but we don't know how to go about it. We are very slow in doing things. So if we take any provision of the Indian Constitution, especially Part 3, the Indian Constitution, Fundamental Rights, you can see the interpretation of it is grown to such a great level. What it was in the year 1950 to what it is right now. My God, what a huge change. That means the human consciousness is changing. That means the human consciousness is evolving. So as and when we begin to understand, as and when we begin to realize who we are and what we are, we slowly interpret the Constitution in a new method. But the problem is, we are doing it very slowly. Do we need 377 to be decriminalized? to take time of say 150 years. We don't need that. We could have done it fast. So we are going by a trial and error experimentation approach instead of going straight. So the trial and error experimentation is that we will follow one by one. First, we will start with the external idea of life. We will start with the tangible idea of life, but we don't understand the intangible, the sense of oneness which we have. If we have it, then it becomes very easy for us to follow it. But we don't do that. So the trial and error experimentation of life, of the tangibilities, which is only the reductionist approach of the social, economic, and political, if it is expanded. I'm not saying this has to be expanded and this expansion is an artificial imposition of things. No, that is very natural to the Constitution. Otherwise, why would Constitution have 7 to 8 values which are immortal in nature? Constitutional values, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved, which means we have consciously resolved. Where is that consciousness? It is not external, it is inside. It is inside us. It is we who have solemnly resolved to constitute India. So we created a structure of the state which is social, secular, democratic, republic, and so on. But afterwards, what we wanted something by which we can innately live happily, we can innately live with sense of oneness, with the sense of multiplicity, with the sense of mutuality, which is exactly what equality is all about, which is exactly what liberty is all about, which is exactly what fraternity, dignity all about. So which means, to put it in a very simple way, sometimes students used to ask me, I teach this law, religion, spirituality, justice as a full paper for 6 months in Gujarat National University. Last 6 to 7 years we are doing that. The question is, if we have that sense of self of oneness, the unified consciousness, that unity, feeling, that experience, that emotion, will we commit crime? No, we will not be able to commit crime. Because when we are in the sense of oneness, how will we commit crimes? We will not. In fact, a partial amount of it is being done in our families. We don't commit crimes to our own brothers and sisters, father and mother and children and grandchildren. Because it is a small family inside our house. Why not expand it outside the zone of the house, outside university, outside workspace, outside country, and go universal? Is that difficult? Perfectly possible. It is perfectly possible. The only thing is that we must take the plunge. Now the question comes, how do we take the plunge? People will immediately say, my religion is this, my religion is that, my tradition is this, my tradition is that. Very simple. Whatever religion that you belong to, whatever tradition that you belong to, whatever sampradaya you belong to, whatever culture that you belong to, you just have to follow the principle of oneness, unity, multiplicity, mutuality, harmony, non-dogmatism, and follow it. And then bring it to the daily life. So when we follow our own religion and tradition, irrespective of whatever be the tradition, whatever be the culture, civilization, race, and so on, if we have the eternal values, if we have the core values, if we have the foundational values, it becomes very easy for us. Because these are the core values, foundational values, which are interconnecting and integrating all of us. So far, science is connecting us in a different way. Technology is connecting us in a different way. Economics is connecting us in a different way. The social and political processes, they are connecting us in a different way. But who is the one who is making the connection? Who is the one who has to enjoy this connection? That is inside us. We who have to take it in our hands. So how do we do that? The point is, we have an enormous number of traditions in the country, all over the world, enormous number of religions and realist masters. Take to something and start reading about it and bring it to the respective subject of the sense of oneness, of the sense of unity, of the sense of plurality, of the sense of mutuality, multiplicity, and so on. Thereby, directly it gets connected with the constitutional values. It becomes very interesting. And the time has come for all of us to do this. That's exactly I started with the huge entry of artificial intelligence coming in our life, information communication technology coming into our life, and so many things that are happening all around and making us come together. We have only one indispensable thing to be done, which is not yet done, is to bring that sense of innate oneness and unity. And for that, you don't need any investment. All that is required is to sit quietly. I used to tell, very often to my students and my own colleagues in my training programs, nothing. But as and when you get up in the morning or when you go for bed in the night, feel that sense of oneness. Feel that sense of love. Feel that sense of peace. And then bring it. And be in your cabin before you go to the class or go to library for research. Draw all energies which are there. Outside, this whole universe is full of sense of oneness. This whole universe is full of sense of unity. It exists. See, if I sit here and then look outside my cabin, so many plants are there, buses are going, technology is there, buildings are there. There is something of a harmony that is holding all these things together and yet moving. What is that? We have to start exploring it. When we start exploring it by understanding it, by feeling it, by experiencing it, by bringing that awareness, and the moment we step out of our cabin, go to class or meet our colleagues or meet our students, and when we speak that language, the experience that we have inside us, the experience and the feeling love that we have inside us, it gets reflected through the words which we are going to use. Whatever be the subject you must be teaching. You may be teaching administrative law or Indian Penal Code or Constitution or IP or whatever be it. These are all social, economic subjects, political process subjects. But behind the person is that sense of oneness. He being the person, she being the person, the teacher, standing in the class, facing hundreds of students. If you can become a center, a channel of peace, if you can become a center of light and love and compassion and so on. And they are all not outside, they are all inside us. All that we want, we need to do is that is want it. Once we do that, then it becomes very easy for us to experience that and then bring it in our respective subject, whatever subjects that we are teaching. I'm also exploring so many law subjects in which the spiritual values are indirectly brought. They are not willing to tell it openly, but somehow or other it is coming. Take the case of corporate law. They talk about social responsibility. Why would one have a social responsibility towards somebody else? It's because the corporate social responsibility is nothing but you are exploiting all the resources of the mother nature, which is not created by you and me, it is created by the nature for all. So when you make use of it, you have to give back something. It's logical, it's rational. So sometimes I used to say spirituality is the most logical, rational thing to be done. Because it appeals directly to the sense of oneness. It appeals directly to the sense of unity. And once, the moment you have the sense of oneness and the unity, multiplicity and mutuality or liberty and harmony becomes automatic, natural. And then this can be brought in each and every subject which we are teaching. Take the case of intellectual property right. If somebody is teaching, they have a specific provision called public policy and public good, where they can actually reduce it to a public good. You cannot just amass wealth only for yourself. You cannot just claim that what you have researched and found out for yourself is only for yourself and making money out of it. Because we believe in this whole existence, everything is for everyone. We need to give. We need to become a center of attention by which we release ourselves towards all. In every subject it is there. And it is coming very close. But if we understand Constitution in this way, of course, each and every law subject that we are teaching in a law school, all have their origin to Constitution, all have their direct gateway to the Preamble. And only from there everything else proceeds. And these foundational core values, liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, which is social, economic, and political, dignity, unity, and integrity. These are the foundational core universal values, which we can experience only when we turn our gaze inward. When we understand that these are all possible and this is perfectly logical to do it. And the moment we think of peace, the moment we want peace, the moment we want unity, the moment we want oneness, it happens. That is the beauty of it. Because the sense of oneness and unity, peace and love, they are by nature, they are conscious values of a psychological awareness. So the moment we think of love, the moment we want love, the moment we feel love, it starts happening. Because the nature of that phenomenon is that. So the time has come for all of us to get into this mode. I'm so happy that Government Law College Mumbai has taken this most interesting initiative of organizing Azadi 75 lectures for making the Constitution most workable for us. And we need to bring this. We can give this as a small assignment to students. We can actually do our own project in our respective subjects. How do we bring that? How do we identify the various values which are there in each and every subject? What are the core values? In what way it can be connected to the Constitution? And all these things can become part and parcel of the knowledge, which is exactly what is going to guide all of us in the times to come. I know it's a very long topic. It's a very big topic to talk about. I don't have much time right now. Certainly, the time will come when I visit Mumbai. I will visit all of you, and Government Law College is very dear to me because my father studied in this college 60 years back. So I have a great respect and great emotion for this college. And it so happened that our Professor Asmeta Madam gave this opportunity to me, and I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Madam, and to all the faculties and the administration and the students and all those who are watching this webinar today. Thank you so much, and if there are any questions, I can take.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a delightful lecture to listen to. Does anybody have any questions for sir? In case you can't switch on your audio and video, you can even write it in the chat and we will read it out. Yes, Vishwas. Vishwas B has a question.
So very grateful for this wonderful insight. I am myself an aspiring law student, and I just wanted to understand spirituality and constitution. Yes, it's amazingly linked, very blend. I would definitely pursue some further research. Context of our nation with so many different religions in so many different spiritual that we have. It is so difficult, in my opinion, as of now, to find a common ground, because it is always a risk that spirituality will be taken as good as somebody professing his religion. So what, in your learned opinion, sir, would be the best way to guide against this risk and still ensure that as a aspiring advocate or advocate to be, we will ensure that in our practices, we will try to maintain this direction, which is very, very aptly pointed out in the research. Thank you so much.
It's a very, very important question. What we need to keep in mind is that whatever be the religion, whatever be the sampradaya, whatever be the tradition that you take, if you stick to the core eternal values of that religion, there's no problem at all. Because their core values, eternal values cannot contradict. That's why I cling to three values: unity, mutuality, multiplicity, which is exactly what the spirituality is all about. Since you asked this question, I can go on and on. Unity is nothing but, even the science and technology, psychology, psychiatry, psychotherapy, they are also coming to an understanding that there is an underlying unity behind the human, behind the flora and the fauna, and behind everything. They are not able to tell what it is, but they say there is some unity. Something is invisible, something is intrinsically holding everything. And if something is intricately and intrinsically holding everything without breaking, that means there must be some mutuality in that. And yet this unifying thing and the mutualizing thing is not static. It is also multiple. Only from these three values, the constitutional values also came into picture, which is equality, liberty, fraternity. So what you call unity is actually equality in constitution. So what you call multiplicity in spirituality is actually liberty in constitution. So what you call harmony or mutuality in spiritual understanding, the experience of it, is actually fraternity and dignity in the constitution. So we must very clearly keep our focus on studying the core values of the respective religion that we belong to. One question, one point that comes to my mind, which you raised very clearly, is that many times people also have asked me in my training programs, so what will happen if there are different religions having contradictions here and so on? We must understand one thing, that religion was a social exercise. And the religion, the social exercise which they did, they used the available materials, available resources, available geography, food, culture at that point of time, according to the different times and different zones and jurisdictions. But you have to transcend all those things to see what is it being attempted in all those things, to reach that source of the unity, to reach that source of the multiplicity, to reach that source of the mutuality. So if we have the sight of the goal, then it becomes very easy to even forget or transcend or even enjoy the differences which exist. In your religion, if these are all the practices that you have, practices, say it may be ritual here or ritual there, whatever it that you may be following. But you will even start enjoying the differences of it, because I know that it is not that you are practicing this particular ritual just to show that this is a ritual. No, you are using this ritual, and this ritual got developed, these resources got developed because of a particular time zone in which you have lived. These are all the available materials at that time, at that point of time for you to develop it. So you have used it, so make use of it. But if that person using that ritual is passing through that to reach that, then it becomes very easy for us to meet. There won't be any fight at all. There won't be any contradiction at all. So we need to keep in mind, we should not lose focus of our goal. Processes will change. Processes have to change, and that is how it is. And that is diversity, and that is beauty of it. But if you do not think of the destination, even if processes, even if the religious structures, they are one and the same, it will create a problem. Our focus should be towards the goal. Hope it's clear. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question from Miss Somya Vyas. She is asking, when a person is spiritually aware that he has things to do, what he has to do with the worldly things then?
Very good question. This is another thing that we need to keep in mind. So far, what
thing is really.
Hello. Yeah. This is another misunderstanding that we have. Spirituality means going away from life. Spirituality means going away from world. That is a wrong understanding, or a misunderstanding, or half understanding, or incomplete understanding. What happens is that, please follow me very carefully, that when we want to realize that sense of unity, oneness, mutuality, multiplicity, when we want to realize that, we may take from the existing role, existing situation, a kind of a withdrawal in order to understand what this consciousness is all about, what this awareness is all about. It is just like if you want to do research, you will be going to library, you will be collecting books, you will be doing this, you will be doing that. That doesn't mean that you have completed the research. But going to library, collecting research, or photocopying material is not research. That is only a process. So can we call that as the research itself? No, it can't be. Similarly, when a person is interested in having that inner experience of the unity, multiplicity, and mutuality, he is taking little time to go away from the world. He has to necessarily withdraw himself from the world and relation and so on. But that is only a temporary thing. The sannyas is only a temporary thing, an exclusive preoccupation for some amount of time. Afterwards, once you experience that unity, once you experience that mutuality and multiplicity, you have to again come back. It is just like after having collected all the research material, you have to come back again to your cabin. You have to do the research, you have to write the book and publish it. We can't stop it there. As simple as this. So what has happened is that spirituality means people think that, okay, going away from life. Yes, we need to go away from life. Not that we are going away from life. We are actually withdrawing from life for some amount of time in order to concentrate exclusively to know who we are, what I am. Because I have forgotten myself in this day-to-day life and world by continuously going outside, continuously getting into the social and the economic and so on. As a result of which I need to stop all this for some time and then withdraw and then go there and remain there for some time. And then after realizing it, I will again come back. So spirituality is not contradictory to world. Spirituality is not contradictory to life. It is not contradictory to life and existence. Otherwise, it will not be applicable in law. Law is about life. Law is about world. How can we avoid it? If law is 360-degree view of life, then you cannot avoid spirituality, which is 360-degree of life. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else have any further questions? If not, we'll be moving ahead. Sir, I would like to genuinely thank you so much for this wonderful lecture. It was really interesting. And now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Srinath Panchbai, who's a senior professor at GLC, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ketayam. I'm honored to propose vote of thanks in today's national level webinar number 15, which is a concluding one on exploring the interface between spiritual values and Indian constitutional values, where today we have with us Dr. K. Permesviral, Associate Professor of Law, Gujarat, National Law University, Gujarat. It reminds me, sir, of your lecture, two words, one from Sanskrit, that is Aham Brahmasmi, oneness with the God, with the universe, and second is Attadipa Bhava, which is in Pali language, which says self-enlightenment. Your lecture was self-enlightened to all of us. I'm extremely thankful to you, Dr. Permesviral, that today you spare your valuable time from your very busy schedule and grace today's webinar despite of your health issues. I'm thankful to you, sir, that you share your valuable thoughts and interpretation on interface between spiritual values and Indian constitutional values, which is a very difficult topic, but you made it a very simple one for our participants. I'm confident that all the participants will be benefited by your prestigious discourse today. Thank you very much. I'm thankful to my own principal, Dr. Asmeta Vaidyaman, madam. Her thoughtful visions and determined efforts have successfully completed now this webinar series, and the ongoing Azadi 75 program is still happening. Thank you very much, madam, for Azadi 75 and this webinar series. I'm thankful to teaching and non-teaching staff of Government Law College. Their valuable support make this possible, this webinar series. I'm thankful to the students of Government Law College, especially the students from Student Council, NSS, DLLE, and all those who have rendered their technical support for making this webinar a great successful event and a very popular event of not only Government Law College, but among now we are getting calls and getting lot of feedbacks from all over India. And I'm thankful for all those technical supports, dear students. Last but not the least, I'm thankful to all the participants, not only in this webinar, but all these 15 webinars. Dear participants, you were present virtually through Zoom, Google Meet, YouTube, Telegram, or in whatsoever manner. But your participation had made this webinar series a very grand success. I wish and I hope and I pray to God that your good wishes should always remain with the Government Law College, so that it will encourage us to arrange some more such type of programs in future. Thank you very much, all the participants, and thank you very much, one and all. Over to you, Ketan.
Thank you very much, sir.
I would like to add a single line. I'm also thankful to Professor Santosh Gaddafar, sir. He has suggested your name, and therefore Dr. Permesviral is here.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes. So I'm thankful to him also. Yes, Ketan.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we end today, I would like to request everyone to please switch on their video cameras so that we may take a group photograph. Thank you very much. I would now like everyone to please rise for the national anthem.
Thank you, Dr. Parameshwaran, and thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you.